Hello, I am Colonel Michael Greenberg, the Fort Belvoir Garrison Commander. Thank you again for joining us today for our Reopening Belvoir Facebook Town Hall. Through this virtual forum, we provide updates on the current framework for recovery as we continue to combat this virus. We will address questions in this forum. Please continue to tag us in your questions and use hashtag AskFortBelvoir. My public affairs and the hospital and others around the installation who work your functions will answer questions and post those on Facebook. Again, I'm joined by my battle buddy, Captain Cindy Judy, the director of the Fort Belvoir Community Hospital. Thank you again for joining us today.
My pleasure, sir.
We're also joined today by Mrs. Kristen Schiffer. She's a military transportation coordinator for the Northern Virginia Regional Commission. Ms. Schiffer is here to share information about some transportation initiatives from the Commission that we're working on as a team between Fort Belvoir and the NVRC. So she will come up later in our briefing. I also like to tell you we have another special guest today as well. Captain Tyser is here from us. She is a dietitian from the hospital, and she'll give us some nutrition tips today. So that will come up here in the near future. So just a couple of updates, and then I'll turn over to Captain Judy. So due to the effects of the tropical storm, we had to close Woodlawn and Gunston golf courses due to standing water. There have been some reports of downed trees as well, and we're making every effort to get them removed. Tomorrow, August 7th, the nation observes Purple Heart Day. The Purple Heart is the U.S. military's oldest decoration. So tomorrow, let us pause to honor our military who are either wounded on the battlefield or pay the ultimate sacrifice with their lives. I also want to have a shout out to the Coast Guard who is celebrating their 230th anniversary on Tuesday. Thank you for your devotion to duty, saving lives, protecting the environment, and defending the homeland. Last week, Army Community Service, or ACS, celebrated their 55th anniversary. For 55 years, ACS has met the needs of the globally diverse Army community. I want to thank the members of the Fort Belvoir ACS team. You are a beacon of hope and support for our soldiers and families. Learn more about their programs by visiting MWR website at belvoir.armymwr.com. I also am proud to announce today that we have launched our digital Garrison application. This application will give the community access to Fort Belvoir information in the palm of your hands. This was made possible through a partnership with AAFES. So I want to thank and recognize their efforts for making that happen. You can also, I always try to share something in the paper. So this week, on the bottom of our newspaper, I want to share that we do have information about the application. And I'm going to take a leap out, and here towards the middle end of the town hall, I will come out in front and give you a small tutorial or showcase what the app has. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Captain.
Hey, thanks, Battle. It's an honor to be here. I know it's your last one. So my thank you this time actually goes to you, Colonel Greenberg. I think, when we look at, there's a lot that's gone on really during your tour here, but when we look at the pandemic itself, which was the reason we started these town hall meetings, and look back on the way that you've preserved the mission and you've cared for this community, and the way you've worked with the different departments on the installation as well as the different installation commands, and then pulling in all of the local and state government involved. You've really demonstrated that whole government approach as well. What you've done here on this installation is nothing short of phenomenal. So thank you for your incredible response. I do have a coin for you. I will figure out a socially distanced way to get that to you. It is our Fort Belvoir Community Hospital coin that we award for excellence, and you certainly have demonstrated excellence in your pandemic response. So I'll leave that there for you.
Thanks,
but you are, thank you. The second thing I want to talk about is just first a little update on the hospital. I'm not going to go into great detail about cases or what's going on because we seem to be holding steady. So not a lot has changed in terms of what we see for number of cases. I will tell you we still are caring for patients in the hospital, and we are still seeing positive tests come back, and it aligns with what you see on the different local community health department web pages and all of those statistics that are available to everyone. So we don't look any different than the rest of the community does. So just check out those websites if you're interested in those numbers. An important change that I really want to talk about today is Curbside Pharmacy. And what I'll start by saying before everyone panics is we are keeping the Curbside Pharmacy going. This has really it's been 4 months now. It's incredibly popular. It's really important with the social distancing and all of the risk mitigation that we've put in place to keep our patients and our staff safe. And so we are going to continue that. And I want to thank the volunteers from throughout the hospital. We've had a whole bunch of staff that came from other departments to support this mission to make sure that we could continue that, and they've done a phenomenal job. But beginning August 17th, my visual today is a reminder. We've talked about it in the past, but it's really coming now. Always activate in advance, okay? So beginning August 17th, we're going to discontinue that garage portion of activation of your prescription. So what we've done, a lot of people have been using that telephone activation, and a lot of people have been using the online form, but there were still people that were coming into the Rivers Garage, and we had people with workstations in there where you could drive up and then activate your prescription and then come out later and go through the curbside portion of that. We are discontinuing that drive-up activation portion. So what will happen instead is if you're leaving an appointment, you'll see that those people will be sort of scattered in different locations throughout the hospital so that they can activate while leaving an appointment. And then the preferred method always is going to be to either use that online form to activate or to call the phone number, which is 571-231-3224. It's option two, and I'm looking, they're going to post all of that information in the comments section as well as on the Fort Belvoir Community Hospital page so that you can see it. But it's, again, to activate your prescription in advance, the phone number is 571-231-3224, option two. So it will continue in the Rivers Garage until August 17th, and then that in-person activation will no longer be available, but the curbside pickup will remain available. I want to give up the rest of my time. I've got one question that I had that I needed to answer, and it's very similar to a question that I had about Curbside Pharmacy not too long ago, and that is the security process at the gate safe during the pandemic? And the answer to that is yes. I know that there has been some variation from installation to installation as you look out across the enterprise, but if the passengers in the vehicle and that security guard are both wearing that cloth face covering, I know when you drive through now, they don't typically take your ID card, but they're scanning it while you hold it. There's very low risk whatsoever, and so it is a safe process to drive through and do that. I know other areas are doing some things like having you keep your windows up and all of that. There's some concerns for safety with that as well, right? And so we want to make sure, and there's delays, right, in the scanning process with doing that. And so really that brief interaction at the gate when you drive through is not posing any increased risk for folks. I just remind everyone that out of respect, mutual respect for one another, that the passengers in the vehicle and the security guard should both be wearing their cloth face coverings, and that should be enough. I'm going to give up the rest of my time to introduce Captain Tyser and have her talk a little bit about nutrition. Really something that we've talked about, and if you've had college students or you remember going to college, there was something called the Freshman 15. We are now calling something at the hospital affectionately, mostly among each other, jokingly, something called the COVID-19, which has nothing to do with the coronavirus, but rather perhaps the weight gain that people are experiencing from sitting around at home and having a lot of extra snacks. So, Captain Tyser.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And before we get into the tips, just wanted to bring some awareness of some of the changes that have been going on in our lives over the last 5 months. We could be having differences in our work routines. Maybe we're teleworking, maybe we're not working, maybe we're working more. Thank you. Maybe there's differences in childcare, or maybe your kiddos are doing some virtual learning. Maybe there's some differences in your social interactions. And so with that being said, those changes, it's probably have some changes in the habits throughout your day. Maybe your eating habits are changing, maybe you're snacking more, or maybe you have a little bit less physical activity. So with that being said, I have some nutrition tips that I think can help with just some of the changes that have been going on in the last few months, maybe that you've had. So tip number one is going to be creating a routine or like a structure for meals and snacks. So if you think about when we send the kids off to school, they have like their breakfast, their lunch, and then their designated snack times, right? So we want to do the same thing as adults, whether we're working from home, whether we're watching the kiddos if they're at home doing their virtual learning. So we want to set up those specific meal times, right, for those meals and snacks. It's good because it gives us kind of like a mental break. If we're working all day or we're doing these other things, it gives us an opportunity to like sit down and enjoy those meals and snacks, right? Also, we're less likely to like snack throughout the day or like mindlessly munch on different things when we have those designated times. So that's going to be tip number one. Tip number two is going to be about practicing mindful eating. You may be home now a little bit more than typical, whether that's teleworking or different things that have been going on. Maybe you find yourself in the fridge more often or the pantry. Maybe you're going every hour or so, and maybe it's because you're bored, or it could be related to stress or anxiety or different things. And so mindful eating is about having awareness of what we're eating and how we're feeling, whether that's being full, being hungry, without judgment. So one of the ways to practice mindful eating is going to be limiting distractions. So if I'm working from home or I'm at work or the kiddos are doing their schoolwork at home, I want to put away the cell phone, I want to turn the TV off, and just slow down and take a minute to enjoy the food, and if you're eating with other people, enjoy your time with them. Mindful eating is about slowing down and taking your time to eat, and when you do that, you can enjoy your food more and you're more satisfied with the food that you're eating. You're also less likely to overeat if you put those distractions away and you really sit down and take the time and enjoy your food, and you're not doing 10 other tasks. So tip two is practice mindful eating. And my last tip is going to be about social connection or interaction and food. And this tip can apply whether you live at home by yourself or if you live with other people, family, friends, spouse, that kind of thing. If you do live at home, one thing I do, if you live at home by yourself, one thing I hear a lot is, well, it's a lot of work to, make the meal just for one person, and I gotta clean the kitchen, and it's just not really worth it. So I hear that a lot. So my tip for you, again, whether you live at home alone or you have other people, is to schedule like a video chat, whether that's Skype or FaceTime or whatever platform you use, and schedule it with maybe someone you haven't talked to in a while, maybe a friend that you haven't seen in a while, or just someone that you haven't talked to in a while. And you could use the same recipe and cook the recipe, in sync with each other at the same time, and then you'll probably finish around the same time, and then you can enjoy your meal together. And that's kind of fun, whether this is a person maybe you aren't able to travel to, or you're just trying to build up and reconnect some relationships. So that's going to be tip number three. And from a readiness standpoint, I encourage all service members and really anyone else to, whatever habits you had, the healthy habits you had, eating habits, physical activity you had pre-COVID, continue to maintain those habits and build new healthy habits as well. If we wait last minute for body composition testing and we kind of got rid of all those habits and we're not doing them year long, you might be experiencing more stress when you do have to do the weigh-in or the tape test. And if you find yourself in a situation and you're in the community, the Fort Belvoir community, and you want to reach out and utilize a Fort Belvoir resource, Fort Belvoir Community Hospital, we have access to the hospital's outpatient nutrition clinic. We have a team of awesome dietitians, and we provide one-on-one nutrition counseling, one-on-one. And we do so many different topics: diabetes, heart health, weight management, sports performance, a variety of topics. And you can call the clinic directly. You can find the number on the hospital internet page. You can call us directly. You don't need a referral, self-referral, and you can make that one-on-one appointment with us, and we can help you reach whatever nutrition goals that you have. And those are my tips.
All right.
Great, thank you so much for giving us those great tips. Just a couple more updates, and then we'll bring up our next guest speaker. So in our outdoor rec section, we want to introduce 2 new paddle boats for rental. Also starting August 15th, Outdoor Rec will have 2 boats, a 6-person Mako and a 12-person pontoon available for rental. Also, for those who were out at our drive-in last Friday, it was a great event. I think everyone enjoyed Dora the Explorer. We are going to have our next drive-in movie on the 21st of August. More information will follow on our website. Our services and facilities are really starting to pick up a little bit, and so please visit our Belvoir MWR site for the latest on events and openings. Our religious services have resumed in-person services with the cap of 50 people, and so the registration online is going very well. Please, if you're interested in attending online or attending in person, register online and you can attend. Those services are still being done virtually as well, and so you can stay in the comforts of your home. Okay, now I'd like to introduce Ms. Schiffer and give her an opportunity to address some of our transportation initiatives. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Colonel Greenberg. In the theme of COVID safety and reopening, I am Kristen Schiffer from the Northern Virginia Regional Commission, and I am your friendly transit and commuting guru for active duty, military family members, base employees. If you have a transit problem or you need help, I am your woman. So I've got some safety tips on mass transit and some upcoming rideshare options that we're working on bringing to the base in collaboration with the leadership. The first is, so emerging studies, not a lot of research has been done that's peer reviewed yet on mass transit and its safety, but one of the organizations that's working on this pretty exhaustively has come up with some recommendations for when you're in a transit system specifically. So if you're on the metro, if you're in a metro station, if you're in a ride share or a taxi cab, in a train. Heck, if you're in a car with your family and you're just not sure about them. Tip number one is wear a face mask, obviously, and eyewear is becoming more important. If you're lucky like me and wear glasses, it's not as big of a problem. Number 2, maintain silence when you're in that metro car or in that rideshare environment. Some of the statistics are that 4 minutes of sneezing can be equal to 4 minutes of conversation can be equal to 30 seconds of sneezing when you're in a tight area on these transits. Minimize the duration of the trip. The longer your exposure to others increases your risk. So that 15-minute trip on the metro is going to be safer than your 30-minute trip. For social distance, lower transmission risk when people there's a low transmission risk when people are in closer proximity with masks for 15 minutes or less. When you start to get outside of that, that's when the folks who are writing these journal articles are starting to worry. And 5, ventilation. This one's starting to be more of a key topic these days. Roll your windows down if it's possible to any extent that you can. I understand that it's about 100% recirculation in under 3 minutes. In your car, that seems reasonable if your windows are down. But ventilate any option you have. And as I talk about this new safety ideas and that mass transit, while it may be concerning to some folks, the majority of the studies in other countries right now that were going on in South Korea and Japan, especially right now, are saying that they have not linked any outbreaks, clusters to mass transit, and these folks take mass transit in a higher rate than we do even here in DC. So number 2 is I just want to plug that if you have any transportation challenges, either with commuting or you're trying to take your family somewhere, the zoo is open now downtown. If you're planning a family trip, there is a handy dandy transportation help on transportation and mass transit on Fort Belvoir's website already. Hooray. It's going to be on the Facebook page, but it'll help you find commuting options. You can plan your trip. And it also is informative for the federal subsidy, in case folks are not aware. There's a $270 a month federal subsidy that's tax-free to cover commuting costs. I know that it's not the time that people are super excited about jumping in cars or trains with other people, but do put that in the back of your mind when you're starting to come back and the workforce normalizes. Third, this is a little bit more exciting maybe than safety in transit, and that's that Northern Virginia Regional Council and Commission and the base is working to bring rideshare here to Fort Belvoir. And Northern Virginia Regional Commission is the community partner that's going to link Fort Belvoir with Lyft to provide ride-sharing options. And this is going to be implemented as the base reopens, the workforce normalizes, the COVID situation abates. So we will be recruiting military spouses, retirees, that have base access to be drivers with Lyft, and it'll be a special recruitment opportunity for these folks. If you're interested in doing it, it's always a challenge to get on base. You don't want to get stuck where the Lyft driver drops you off right outside of the base, and it's a really long walk here, right? So your option is going to be that you're going to be able to get all the way to where you need to go on the base using rideshare. So you can learn more about that both on the Fort Belvoir Facebook page and also at novaregion.org. Thank you for your time. Please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so I mentioned it earlier, and now I'll put up to the test to explain to you digital Garrison application. Like I said, it's finally here. You can go to the App Store and download it yourself. It is free. It provides a full range of installation services such as gate hours, FWR events, AP store hours. For all those who have already downloaded it, you can follow me on our quick tutorial. And I'm going to come up to the front and attempt to do this. All right, we good? All right, so here's your iPad. If you go down, you'll see the icon. You push on it. Okay, down at the bottom is really your menu, and so you can go into services. And when you go into services, all the services are actually listed on the application itself. Okay, you go back to the home page. You go to COVID-19, and you click that. It'll open you up, and it'll open you up right to the Fort Belvoir page, and you can find all the latest information about COVID. If we go back to the app. Again, click your little middle home button. You go to hotlines, and you click on hotlines. All the hotlines for the base is listed right there, right in front of you for your use. We go back down and go to deals. That'll go to the APHES page, and that'll list all the deals that are upcoming on APHES. Go back to the home page. And you go down to Military Star, you can see about Military Star. APHES also have a sweepstakes going on, so you can click on there for sweepstakes. Real-time movies, and so you click on there. When our movie theater opens back up, the movies will be posted right there on that page. Our events, so this is tied to our MWR, but you can see all the events that are going on the installation, and you can scroll down. And I'm almost done. Our installation, if you go there, again, you can see gate hours, our installation directory, newcomers guide, Gold Star family badges. Again, great if you're coming into the installation and you just got here. This is a great application that'll give you all that information. And if you go to recreation, again, all the recreational, the marina, dog parks, clubhouses, bowling, all those are on there with hours, any pertinent information for that service. And then lastly, for dining, again, all the dining areas, the Arby's, the Burger King, Boston Market, everything that's been on the installation for food is listed right there with the hours. And so I've made it through on my tutorial. Hopefully that was helpful. All right. Are there any Okay, so the app name, I think there was a question out there, Digital Garrison app. And when you open it up, or when you download it, at the first page, it'll ask you what installation that you want to go to. And go down, I loaded it 2 days ago, it just came out. And Fort Belvoir is on that list, and you can download it. And then again, all that information is out there. If there's something that you think is inaccurate or incorrect, please reach out to my public affairs office, and we can go ahead and look at the information, make sure it's accurate, and then update it as needed. All right, any additional questions for the hospital?
Yeah, sir, I got a couple of questions. I saw a lot of discussion on the feed about the Starbucks reopening at the hospital. And the good news is that Starbucks is reopening on Monday, but I want to share with people that access to the hospital is still restricted, right? And so it's staff, it's patients, the visitors that are authorized to come with those patients are really what the beneficiary population is in the hospital right now. We have not yet opened the DFAC or the subway or any of the other services within the hospital to the rest of the community yet. And so I know that people are very excited about that Starbucks location because it is nice, but I just want to remind people that that's really to help us enable that social distancing and keep people safe while they're in the hospital. So we just don't want all of the extra traffic in the hospital at this time. I have one other question too. Somebody very smartly figured out, right, if you're closing out the Curbside Pharmacy activation in Rivers Garage on August 17th, will you be opening up the garage fully? And the answer is not yet, because we still are going to have that queuing location before you go over into the actual curbside pickup. And so the traffic flow is not yet to the point that we can completely stop using that first floor of the Rivers Garage. So we have opened Rivers Garage early in the morning for early morning arrivals, starting with the second deck and up, but it won't be fully open yet. We're monitoring very closely the parking both out front and in the other garage, and we have spots available at all times of the day for both patients and staff who are arriving, so we're not yet running out of parking spots.
All right, great. Okay, I'm going to go to a couple of unanswered questions as well. So I know Captain Judy mentioned our face coverings and kind of the guidelines out there. And so there was a question about, is there directives for all service members and all services and DoD employees? Can you point me to the link where other services are directed for neutral without logos and anything showing the applicability of DoD civilians? I am gonna push that to in the upcoming weeks. I will have the public affairs look at some of those policies and guidelines and get back to you on those specifics for each of the services for service members, and then specifically on DoD civilians. Frank, you want to come up and discuss your question?
Thank you, sir. Fortunately, my question has already been briefly addressed, been touched on a little bit, and it is an access control question, and it's why can't we leave our windows up when entering the installation, scan our ID card? It works. I've seen it work at other installations. Well, the answer is yes, you are correct. The scanner will scan through a vehicle window and read the barcode. However, a lot of vehicles have heavy tinting, and it's also important for security reasons, obviously, that the guards have the ability to look inside the passenger compartment of the vehicle. Once again, it was already mentioned, but so long as the guard and the person coming through the gate are both wearing their face coverings, the risk is low. And that's the only question I have, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. There was a question, and I know it has come up a couple of times last week. I'll answer it today. So there's a question about the bridge by River Village and Walker Gate. And so I know there's been some frustrations because you haven't seen any work being done visually, but I will tell you a lot of work has been done up to this point. The demolition for the bridge should happen here within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We did get all the final approvals needed. The contractors are mobilizing to actually to take the bridge down. Also at the same time, the new bridge coming in takes several months to make. That bridge has been ordered. It is actually being worked right now. We are hoping that the bridge is fully functional by the October timeframe, which is what we said before, and hopefully by the end of October, 1st of November, that we can open back Walker Gate. All right, Kevin, you had a question on DHR?
Good afternoon all, Kevin Rennick, Director of Human Resources. My question for this afternoon, when will the Ed Center open for testing? Are there alternate options for testing? Unfortunately, the testing office is not ready to open at this time. However, we are looking at a safe way to resume services. As soon as we are able to do so, we will inform the community. But as it pertains to alternate testing locations and other pertinent information as it pertains to the education services, you can call our education service officer at 703-402-8007. That's 703-402-8007. Thank you. Second to your question, sir, that's all that I have.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, I want to address a couple others. So there was discussions, and I've seen it in a couple of postings about the historic windows and what's the status of those windows. And so if you remember 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, we talked about historic windows. We had the initiative going forward, and we were replacing all those windows before people have moved in. I would tell you in March of this year, there's been a pause on those window replacements. The pause was part of a nationwide initiative that is looking at a better way to improve resident satisfaction in the Army's historic homes. Installations, not just Fort Belvoir, but installations across the U.S. have their various initiatives for historic homes, and they all have been paused and are awaiting an upcoming decision by the Army's Historic Preservation Office. A decision is expected to be made by fourth quarter of 2020, at which time the villages will resume the window initiative in our historic homes. At this time, Fort Belvoir has 108 of its 170 historic homes have had successful window replacements. The progress is ahead of schedule. However, I know we were pushing to try to get all windows done here in the near future. Like I said, there's been a national pause awaiting an Army decision. There was discussions on life health safety inspections, and if you remember last year, we discussed in 2 town halls about having 100% of houses having those health life safety inspections. Despite complications of COVID-19 restrictions, we have started a preventive maintenance inspection program. The scope of the preventive maintenance inspections have been expanded to include hotspot checklists. The checklist was specifically designed for Belvoir homes and is intended to take the place of those life health safety inspections. That on top of the transitions of homes. So our homes transition anywhere from 30 to 40% of families transition every year. They go through a between occupancy maintenance inspection. And so between those inspections and the annual preventive maintenance inspections, 100% of Fort Belvoir homes will be inspected each year. We also, if you were not aware, have added 2 industrial hygienists onto the Garrison staff that help with the quality assurance of the homes and of the inspections. All right, are there other questions out there?
Yes, sir. Is there an update for the pools?
Okay, the question was, is there an update for the pools? So the pools did open approximately 2 or 3 weeks ago. They have been in use. It hasn't been in use wholeheartedly, but those active duty and first responders who require physical conditioning have been using the pools. I will tell you at this time we are not expanding that out to any other categories until we see new condition sets, and then we'll make further decisions on it.
When is the library going to reopen?
Okay, I'll let George come up and answer the details on that. However, the library is open for virtual pickup. And so I think the question may be, when can you actually go in and get books in the library? George, I don't know if you have an answer to that one.
Not really, sir, but as the Colonel said, we do have curbside pickup, so you can put your order in online and go ahead and pick up all your books. We are in our summer reading program, which has been extended until the 8th of September because school has been, the opening has been extended. That's all I have, sir.
Okay. And I believe, we are looking at that, but what we are seeing is the library is doing very well in the virtual capacity right now. I know there are I think the computer labs have been, one that people want to use. I believe a lot of folks have found the USO and using some of their computers and some of their resources as well.
If I am a spouse and I want to learn more about a job opportunity with Lyft, where can I get this information?
Great, I'm going to pass it on to our special guest.
Hello, if you are a spouse or a retiree or anyone who has base access who's interested in learning more about the opportunities with Lyft, you can contact me, which is C. Schiffer, SHIFFER, at Nova Region, NOVAREGION.org. And hopefully we can maybe get something up here as well, but it's Northern Virginia Regional Commission is where we're based out of, and there will be links to Northern Virginia Regional Commission on the website for the town hall as well.
Thank you. Right, no other questions out there? Do you have another question?
I had one other question. Somebody asked about what do they do about the civilian prescriptions that are on paper that patients have. And the answer is we've got a drop box in both the main pharmacy and in the PX pharmacy that patients can drop off that prescription, and then that will be filled, and they can do curbside pickup at a later time.
All right, great. Right. So I just want to say a couple closing remarks, and I'm going to give it to you, and then I'll do the final closings. So as some know, and Captain Judy reminded me at the start, this is my last town hall as Fort Belvoir Garrison Commander. Colonel Josh Seagraves will be assuming command on 11 August. I will share more details about the virtual town hall here in just a minute. I just want to thank each and every one of you for participating in the virtual town halls since the beginning of this pandemic. Your questions and feedback have really helped us grow as an organization and an installation as a whole. Please continue to stay tuned for these virtual town halls, and please give your support to Colonel Seagraves, the same support that you gave me. I also always at the end thank a whole lot of folks. I want to, in tradition, thank a whole lot of folks again. And so first, thank you, Battle Buddy, for coming here each and every week. I know we've gone to a every other week virtual town hall, but you've been with us, and we have done this together, so thank you very much. To the hospital as well, thank you for your continued support. It's amazing how much the hospital does for this community, not just for COVID, but just in general for the community, whether it's outpatients, appointments, it's surgeries, it's inpatient, it's specialty care. You're there and you provide that world-class support, so thank you for that. And again, I can't thank everyone because I know I will forget others, but generally first responders, our police, our fire, our gate guards, our ambulances, all those that are on the roads helping us each and every day. To all our civilians, our CDC workers, the whole Garrison staff that really make this installation go. Their continued support through the pandemic and throughout the 2 years have been incredible. Besides potentially the 1% of negative comments that we get, 99% of the folks have very pleased, comments about the installation, and really it's really attributed to our high-speed, world-class Garrison support for doing that. Service members and civilians and our contractors, and then really all the contractors out there that are supporting this installation. Whether you're doing roads, you're doing maintenance, you're doing electric, water, whatever you're doing for the installation, we all take for granted all the great things that are maintained here on the installation. But thank you for all those as well. And so, and if I missed you, I apologize here in a minute. I know there's plenty of others out there, but thank you for what you do each and every day. I'll turn it over to you for any final comments.
So I'll just make it brief. You know, there are a lot of great updates today, and the PAO team does a really great job of making sure that we're prepared. This is one method of communication with the community, but obviously the social media, the newspaper, the handouts, the flyers, the everything, the app now, right, are just really great tools that help us not only inform you, but then help you get that word out throughout the rest of the community. So I appreciate that the viewers take the time to spread the word and give us really great questions that we can continue to answer. You know, the transit brief today was I think really important. I have a lot of staff at the hospital that rely on transportation, public transportation. And so knowing what's going on in the background to make sure that we can increase those services and better support everyone on this installation is really, really helpful. So thank you for that. And then the nutrition tips and resources. I will tell you, I think the thing that stuck with me the most, Captain Tyser, was when you said about establishing a normal eating routine, right? And so it's not lost on me that as our kids are home, not just over the summer, but as we go into this virtual school, that it's really hard to get them out of graze throughout the day mode into more like eating like it is when you actually go to school and having that schedule. And so I think that that's something that we'll take from your advice at the Judy household and make sure that our kiddo is eating on a schedule as opposed to just kind of grazing throughout the day. So great information today. I've already thanked you. I'm not going to thank you again other than to say, hey, shipmate, right?
That's right, yes.
It's been great.
Thank you. Thank you. Just in closing, you know, there is a lot of work, and Captain Judy talked about the public affairs. So thank you to the public affairs team for putting this together each and every week. If you noticed, at the start of this, we're in a little closet corner, and we've grown to where we are today, where we have, you know, it's not perfect. We are not a news agency, but we are pretty dang close. And so thank you, public affairs. And then thank you for the whole entire staff that is answering questions as we are here. That information is really critical. And then thank you for participating here today. And whether this is your first time or your 18th time, every time we try to put out new information, great special guests today. But over the last couple of weeks, we've had some really great folks come in and try to give you some information in small chunks. So I think that's very useful as well. This video, along with all the virtual town hall videos, are posted on our Facebook page located on the video section. Remember, we provide a weekly recap of the questions we address in the town hall on our website at home.army.mil/Belvoir. Thank you for your questions and feedback. We appreciate them. Like I've said one time before today, they make us a better organization. Communication is key to our success, and thank you for that. Remember, working together, we make a difference. However, the virus is still out there. These preventive measures make a tremendous impact in keeping our community safe and healthy. Remember, our next town hall is 2 weeks from today, 20 August. From Eagle 6 signing out. Thank you very much.